give us an answer eventually. And to me, it's going to be like it's going to be played up until whatever, till before the pay per view or maybe the beginning of next year, whenever their first show is. I'm not sure, but whatever of next year, like the second or something like that is the first show, I think. But yeah, maybe they'll give an answer then, and they'll do something like that. But
Hey, Mitch will never die. You know, he's getting constantly mentioned over on AEW. I
yeah,
was waiting for the name drop, to be honest with you.
but my other question to this whole thing is: are people going to look at this? I'm not trying to start any problem, people.
Uh oh.
Like, oh look, they're getting two ex WWE guys, so everyone will know who they are. Is that why you start off in AEW like that last night? Because, oh look, it's two ex WWE guys in the middle of the ring. Let's watch this.
Well,
Oh look, they're going to be main eventing a big pay per view coming up. Oh, let's order this Jericho versus Dean Ambrose again. Let's watch it. I know it's Moxley, but I'm saying that's what other people would look at it like. That's the headline.
well, to be fair, wouldn't any company, regardless if it's AEW, Impact, WWE, whatever company you want to name, you would think that they would start off or build up on a feud where it's dealing with the world championship. It's the most important title on the
Yeah, but
show.
does it need
But
to be these two guys right now?
but okay, to be fair, is Moxley not one of the hottest guys in the company at the moment? Absolutely. And he's on number one in the power ranking, so it only makes sense that he's the number one guy and the number one contender for the title.
Yeah, my counterpoint to that is
Go ahead.
they reset in
Right.
January, so he's not number one. So how is he the number one guy if the rankings reset in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is?
So are we? Let me get into the comment. It's funny. I see people online just fucking comparing these segments to other promotions wrestling's been on for like 40 years. Yeah, exactly. I saw you tweet that the other day. We've seen everything in wrestling. If you've been watching wrestling longer than 10 years, you've seen everything thrown at you, to storylines, to some type of affair storylines. We've seen it all in wrestling, and
Yeah.
you're not going to see anything. It's very rare you see something that you've never seen before.
Yeah,
Uh,
but what was one
Even
thing
dog
people?
food. You know,
Yeah,
we've seen
exactly.
that before.
But what's the one thing everyone complains about SmackDown and Raw?
What's that,
They
Dave?
opened both the shows with talking segments
Yeah,
for
but see,
like
this
15
this
minutes.
one wasn't a pointless talking segment. It actually had some kind of it has a backstory. He's trying to suck you in, Jericho is, into this storyline. And I don't even know for sure. AEW hasn't announced it, and maybe they have, and I didn't hear them. Do we know for sure it's going to be Jericho and Moxley at this pay per view? Is Moxley actually
Well,
the legit number one contender for the title, or
well,
he's just going after Jericho?
well,
That's
they
the
did
question.
say last week when it ended with Moxley coming out, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, that there's the number one contender. And Jericho coming down to bring all his guys down
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Remember, they said like these two guys are at a collision course to face off sometime, but it's almost like I don't think it's a panic mode, but it almost seems like they're getting close to that panic button because they're already throwing probably the number one feud that everyone expected to see, which is Moxley and Jericho.
Speed says,
And
I've
they're
never
already
seen
like
anybody suck
throwing
as
it.
much wing as Orange Cassidy. Holy moly, going deep on Orange Cassidy. But
What
whose
about
side is he
Pac?
on? Yeah, Pac's kind of been left in the dark on this. He was seemingly the guy that you thought would be the next in line for a title shot, but he's taken a couple of L's. And also, I think this is more of seeing how Pac is that bastard asshole, and Jericho is still too an asshole as well in his heel persona. I don't think they want them to clash heads because I don't think they want one or the other to actually get the fans behind him. Because eventually it would happen if you had Pac and Jericho in the title match and Chicago facing each other, one or the other is going to get the crowd behind them. And I don't think AEW wants that. I think they're
Well, did
go ahead.
uh,
No. I
I was,
think I think AEW is going with the right choice with putting in Moxley and to be certain too, this will get people to come and see your show. This will get butts in the seats to see Moxley take on Jericho. Yes, it's something we've seen before, but it's been quite some time since we've seen these two guys actually have a match and actually have a feud. So at least it's not something that we saw last year or 2 years ago. It's something that is going to be at least fresh, and they're involving other things in line with the storyline as well.
But didn't they also say, and Cody said this, and Tony, I'm sure
What's up,
too,
Marion Watson?
not you, but Tony Khan, that heels and faces don't really mean anything in AEW.
Did they
so
say
it
that?
doesn't matter. Yeah, they said there's not going to be your typical heels and faces. You're going to like who you want to like. You're going to cheer or boo whoever you want. And so it's like kind of, they're kind of blurring that line, but now they don't want to have a heel versus heel, but they've said before that it's going to be open to interpretation. Everyone wants to boo or cheer, right? Because no one's ever going to fully boo Jericho because he still gets cheered. Mm-hmm. No one's, and there's still people who are kind of gonna always cheer the Lucha Brothers, or they're never gonna boo the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega or Cody Rhodes. They're never gonna boo any of these guys.
Yeah, true.
Even if they're trying to, just like when Kenny Omega was trying to be the heel versus Moxley, they still weren't booing him.
Marion Watson says, "Sup guys, sup everyone. Hey Tony, if you want to get caught up on No Pixel, I got all the highlights." Oh, okay, appreciate that, Mr. Marion Watson. AEW only has a total of 3 heels. So you can't be having them fight each other, says Speeds. AEW needs to get rid of Jim Ross now. I'm sorry, but he fucking sucks ass now. He can't remember a goddamn thing, says Justin. Eventually, one's going on tour, says Bobaruski. Oh, yeah, that is true. Isn't Moxley and Jericho going to be hitting Japan? I wonder how they're going to do that.
Are they going to have them cross paths? Maybe that's why they're doing this. So they can have, like, maybe them cross paths in New Japan and do some stuff against each other there, and then come back and have it carry over to AEW. Maybe that's why they're doing this.
I wonder if AEW mentions this at all, about them going over to New Japan and having a match over there.
I'm sure they will.
Kingdom. I wonder if they mention it at all. I'm sure they will, but I'm surprised they haven't yet, because the matches. Well, weren't the matches announced the night after? Or I don't remember. I know they have been announced, so I wonder if AEW does announce them maybe next week. Who knows? They're not going to make it blatant telling you, hey, this guy is bad, boo, this guy is good, yay. Okay, yeah, I get you. Isn't Moxley doing a big-time MMA movie? Is he?
I have no clue.
I have no idea if that's true or not. Wait, why all of life is heel and versus face? Bad guy versus good guy. It's just not just a wrestling thing. It's an everything thing. People still understand the bad guys and respect them, but cheer for the good guys, says Mr. Marion Watson. What's up, Truth and Loyalty? Noob, I didn't say hello to you guys. Alice, Coquina, how you guys doing tonight? Thank you for joining us as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they build it up, because you have 2 more months to build up this match, which I don't understand how they're going to do it. It's going to be interesting to see how they keep fans invested in this feud, especially since the pay-per-view is so long away. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this up.
To be fair, to play devil's advocate, you could say the same thing about NXT.
True, yeah.
Because they got till February, 7th is their pay-per-view. So I get it, it's 2 separate beasts, because one, NXT isn't the only brand that they're pushing.
Right.
You have other Raw and SmackDown, and then you have AEW trying to keep you interested for 2 months. But you could say, I think, a little bit to NXT